I accidentally deleted the original intro I did for this, and I'm halfway through the job now, so let's just try and redo it and catch you up to speed. Basically, a couple of videos ago, we changed the starter motor, and in that process we removed the intake manifold. If you want to look at how to remove an intake manifold, go and check that video out if you want to learn that process. Now this is the video where we're going to be putting it back on and getting the car running. I know what you're thinking, Lewis mate, we've already seen a video of you taking it all off. We could just watch that video and just basically do the instructions in reverse. We don't need this video, but there's a reason. Are you okay? For this video, and I'm going to explain right now. So basically, once it was off, I was chatting with a few people in a club that I'm in. Well, just Automotive Perfection, one of the clubs that I'm in. Loads of people saying, why don't you paint the manifold whilst it's off? A lot of people go black. Fair enough, it will look a bit smart black. Then I thought, maybe I'll try and get a candy red paint, and then I can kind of like match it up to the rocker cover. That'll look pretty cool. It'll still be like a wrinkly finish, like that metal looks like. But it'll be like a cool candy red. Then Brett came to me and said I could take that manifold to the same place that we took the rocker cover and get it powder coated the same exact colour. I thought brilliant, powder coating as well, so it's going to be a little bit tougher. I know it's going to be cheap, let's get it done. This is going to be a nice little mod this. It's all going to look right nice matching. Then Brett basically mentions, right, we're going through Sheffield today, shall I just pick it up? Yes. Comes and picks up the manifold, takes it up to York, gets it powder coated at York Powder Coating. Then Lee, bless him, he's been up Brett's end of town and he's passing through Sheffield to go home. So he offers to bring the manifold back after powder coating with a couple of other little bits as well that I actually needed for this process. So now we're a few weeks later, and instead of just chucking the old dirty manifold back on, this is the finished article that's going to be going back on. It looks so nice. I cannot wait to get this on. Now the reason why I say we're halfway through the process is because if you look here, this bottom portion, which usually comes out here, is all off. There's also a gasket that's normally there, and this is all disgusting originally. So let's go back in time to when I just got this back and explain the process that I'm doing. Okay, so I've actually been told I can take this whole section here out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts holding it in. And that's all the bit what's inside what I need to try and clean out as much as I can, because that is just gritty sand from the sandblasting. So let's get that out and get to work then, shall we? Alexa, is it going to rain today?
Rain is expected in about 25 minutes. It should last about 20 minutes.
Right, so I'm going to take each piece outside individually and give them a good rinse through first. Maybe a bit of washing up liquid just to kind of clean it up, and then I'm going to use like an engine degreaser with some brushes that I use specifically on the engine. So we'll do all that. I'll wipe them back down as well to try and dry them off, bring them back in. I would take you outside to film doing it, but it's windy, mate. I don't fancy you guys watching me clean it and then suddenly this camera just goes like that. So yeah, I'll show you more when they're nice and clean. So now that all the inside's clean, we need to reseal it on the metal gasket. I'm reusing my metal gasket. You can get a new one if you want to, but they are reusable. I'm just using this Granville instant gasket. It's clear as well, so it shouldn't show up if it spills out a bit. You can shave it off with your blade if it does spill out a little bit. High temperature, flexible, everything that you need it to be, basically. So I'm going to try and follow the line left from where it was before, all the way around here, and then put the gasket on. I don't think it'd be a good idea trying to put it on the gasket and then trying to lower it on. It's just going to be a nightmare. So wish me luck. We'll do that. We'll put the gasket on. We'll do it on the other side of the gasket. Put the other side on. Bolt it in. Job done. Okay, so that's now all on, not too tight though. I've tightened it up but not like proper sealed it off, because it says don't over tighten it whilst it's sealing, so it's got room to actually bond. As you can see, there's some of it that has come out of the edges. I'm just going to see if I can get some of that off now. But it says about 15 minutes to leave it at least. Might leave it a little bit longer, and then we'll move on to actually fitting it. Now for the top of the manifold, there were a few bolts that I were having a lot of trouble with. So that's an example of one of them that got absolutely mashed up whilst we were trying to get it off. So for the top one, especially with it all being nice and new now, I went ahead and got these fancier stainless steel ones just to go across the tops. And all the decent ones of these that I've got left, I'm going to do for the underneath. So I've cleaned the gasket again for this bit that's going to go straight on, and then we'll put the manifold on and sort out all the hoses and plugs and everything like that. Okay, so I've just used a couple of old bolts for now, just so I could put it into place, get the bolts through, make sure the gasket was in the right place, so it's all lined up. I just hand tightened them. I'm going to connect some of these hoses up, so you've got this one that'll lead into here, got another one here, and there's a large one underneath that I'll show you. It also connects up, all to do with coolant, I think. We'll mention there was something that came out of here, but that's been blanked off and then powder coated over the top. There's also a valve that's usually in this bottom corner here with a few hoses coming off it. That's like your idler valve, where it adjusts your revs to idle correctly, but it's not technically needed, and you can buy delete kits for it, so it's absolutely fine to not have that. We do have something to put in there, which I'll show you later on. So I connect these hoses up, got a few plugs hanging around, so I need to relearn where they've come from, and we'll start connecting it all back up. So that's all the bolts in, hand tightened. So we've got all the new fancy ones above there. We've got another one down there, and then one of the old ones is there, look, so you don't really look at that. There's another old one here in the middle, so I've cleaned that up a little bit to try and make sure that it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. And there's another one that is very hard to see, but if you can, I don't know if you can see through there, it's just hiding through there. I'll zoom out so you can see where I've come from. Sorry, it's really bright. It's just in that bottom corner that you have to worry about. Now these top few and these under here are all going to be absolutely fine tightening, but you've got to come up with some creative ways of tightening that one, and especially that one down there, because you have to reach all the way through here normally to reach it. You have to use your left arm, make sure the throttle body's off, which it will be when you put it back on, all the way through there, and hand tighten that back on. Now there's quite a special way to get that off, which you'll have seen in the other video on how to remove it. So let's see let's see how we get on tightening it all back up. Now they're all tightened up. I did notice just down here, this stud was coming out from underneath. That's because there used to be a bracket that connected here and down there, like a support bracket. But loads of people run this without the support bracket, so I've taken that out because it was ugly and we don't need that anymore. There's this loom here that connects to the fuel rail that I've got in this bag safe. They also taped all these up to make sure they were okay whilst it was like raining and things like that. We don't want all the contact points rusting up. This I think will connect onto the throttle body, and there's two little plugs down here that I think these go into, so I'm going to take these off and connect them up. Now there is a little clip down there that's meant to clip onto that bracket that's non-existent anymore, but it should be absolutely fine. Everything else is going to support it. Something I forgot to mention is the battery's been out this whole time, because one, you don't want to catch any metal on it, and two, there's an earth from the fuel rail onto the manifold, so you need to make sure you sort all that out first before you connect up the battery. We've got another big long loom here that's hanging out of the car, but I think this is going to go across the beam that's on here, and then this connects up to the latch, I think. I think what I'm going to do now, I'm going to crack that fuel rail back in. Now I'm just getting all the crud off the O-rings. What I'm also going to do is put a dab of oil inside each of one of these to make sure that the O-rings slide in and don't rip any seals. Just going to check underneath the injectors as well to see if there's any damage. They don't look damaged. So we're cooking on gas. I know it's not a fancy fuel rail, but we'll have to just clean it up at some point. I might be a little bit of Dirty Herbert and do a Dirty Herbert thing. Not a rude thing, not that kind of Dirty Herbert. I'm just going to cheat and get some oil off here. Oh, I'm naughty. Not enough on there really. I think it's going to be a dipstick job. It's quite tight dipstick because obviously it's powder coated, the rocker. I always bash my hand every single time. Oh. God, that's disgusting. I'm going to have to do a proper clean on this. How are we doing oil wise? The car is leaning back. Pretty good actually. Oh, he's touching dipstick and then putting it back in. Chill out. Thing is, the O-rings are a little bit oily anyway as well, so. Okay, now stop being disgusting. Gently lower these back in. Come on, they're not going in. Do you know what? I'm going to be extra careful and I'm going to get some more oil and put it on the O-rings themselves. Okay, I've got plenty on them now, so. Still need a decent push. Or is that just how they sit? Yeah, because the thread doesn't go all the way down, does it? So I'm an absolute buffoon. I had these spacers that were on before, so I need to take the fuel rail out again, which at least the O-rings are all fine, we know that. Why do I feel like that's still not enough? I know what it is. These studs go further in than what they are right now. That's what it is. I actually think the one's upside down. So I'll tighten them in and then we'll try again. Yep, that completely sorted it. So as you tighten these nuts up, it actually sinks in the O-ring there. So put it in as far as you can physically do it, obviously not pushing too hard, and then as you tighten those up, it'll sort that out for you. Now the idle control valve that we're deleting, a hose from it goes into this hose here. But Lee, who actually delivered this to me, like I mentioned, sorry, gave me one of these, which is basically a bung, and it's red as well, so it matches. Goes over there, and then got a little Jubilee clip that'll go over the top and clamp that in, and that's that sorted. Now if we're zooming right down here, you'll see there's a bolt, really quite a big bolt actually. This is normally where the valve is for the idle control. Now they can get a delete kit, which is what you put in here normally, and it's about 20 odd quid, 22 quid. This is a Nissan Qashqai sump plug, and it fits bang on. The only thing is, it's the right thread, but the thread's tapered, so it's quite tight putting it in. It's a 24mm, so I'm going to get a crack at just trying to tighten it as much as I possibly can. Who needs a gym here when you've got a car? No. That's staying where it is. Plus I'm being careful trying not to mark this as much as I can. So next up we've got the throttle body. I've kept this in a bag as well to make sure that nothing funny goes on it. You've got your two studs that it sits on. Come on. That just slides back on there. And then you've got two bolts that go in the opposite way. I've also got two nuts ready for those studs. So we'll tighten back those up. Just do them by hand for now. Oh, nearly dropped that bolt. Nearly, mate. Once you start getting stuff back, it starts becoming self-explanatory where things actually go. So you've got the hose at the top there. I will need to clamp that to get it back on. You've got the clip there, where that loom goes into. You've got the clip there, where the other part of the loom goes into. That makes complete sense. And you've got your plug there. Oh, that's satisfying. How lovely. Click. Nice shiny bolt there from Brett as well. Thank you very much. I rounded out the other one, so on the other side you've got another plug, quite a wide one, that sits behind the throttle body there. You'll know it's properly in because you'll hear a little click, just like that. There's two hoses underneath, so the bottom one, that's kind of self-explanatory, goes into that bottom bit there, and then I've got a top one here that runs into that one. This hose setup will look a bit different to yours, simply because I've had to use this MJC hose to make do, because I didn't have all the original hoses when I got my HKS kit, because my HKS one was second hand, so this is just a make do. And then we'll clamp all them up, and that's your throttle body done. Now, it's up to you whether you want to do this, but I actually took this hose out as well, simply because it was in the way when I was trying to get to the bolts and things for the manifold, so I took that out of the way. But there's just a point back here that connects to the engine, and then another point here that connects to the top of your radiator. Right, so now it's time to put the intake back on. Mine's already blanked off here, but that's another piece if you have a HKS, where if you do the idler delete, you'll need that blanking off as well. So I was lucky to have had that done already when I purchased this. The other one connects up to your breather here. Now I need to get my Jubilee clamps, I think that's what they're called. If I can get it on. Oops. Should really get some new ones of these because they are rank mine, but they do the job. Now the hardest bit is going to be actually getting this in, so we'll have to wait and see how difficult this is going to be. I think the more difficult bit is usually getting the mushroom bit on, so hopefully this will be a bit more forgiving. You might have to give me a minute, give me some space. That's all the intake back on. Last thing I forgot, I need to put the earth screw in the fuel rail. What did that was for? So I just had that beam over there and I've just put it back in its place. There's one of these on either side, just under the grille, which mounts the top of the radiator to this beam. I had to remove this left one and disconnect that one. I could leave it there though, to actually get that beam off. So what you need to do is carefully, without damaging your grille, pop these back in where they used to live. You can kind of flex the radiator a bit because that's the thing that's moving around. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is actually start putting this loom back in first in case I need to move it around. So you've got one plug here that goes into the bonnet latch, and the other plug just goes behind and goes into just above the fan. The rest is just clips that end up clipping into this beam. So just look for where the closest hole is, where it looks like it's come from, and more than likely that's where it's been. Right, so now I'm just going to get all the bolts in the top of here and all these connections bolted up, bolted back to the grill. Chuck the slam panel back on and then we'll pop the battery in. Fingers crossed, everything's good. One thing I forgot to mention is we lost bits of coolant here and there whilst we were taking all this off. Now I've been told it's not enough to have to bleed the radiator again. So I played it safe. I've got the Pro Honda official coolant basically, ready mixed. There is other brands you can use, you can do it through Halford, so you can get concentrated ones, but I just wanted to play it safe. And I'm just going to top this up. I don't know how difference it's going to make with the car being on a slant, but I just want to make sure that it's got the coolant in there ready for when all the empty pipes start flowing again. Oh, maybe not doing bad. There we go, right, it's facing the right way. Where the only focus is me and weightless, got me feeling like I'm flying. I've been holding on to these dreams, I'm ready to take the leap, 'cause I've been holding back any oceans. Right, so I've done a full nut and bolt check just to make sure nothing's hand tight and I've missed. Probably going to throw some codes up because I tried to start it with nothing in there, just to make sure that it turned over a couple of times with the new starter motor in, so that threw a load of codes up. So there's something that we can clear at a later time. First, all I want to do, make sure that it starts, nothing falls off, nothing blows up and nothing leaks everywhere. So I've never done this in-depth work on the car before. I know I've only put that back on, but you should have seen it. Well, you might have already looked back and seen taking it off. It was intimidating, so let's see, shall we? Unlocked, so that's a good start. This shouldn't be hot yet, so I'm just going to have a quick look. It's gone through the system, so I'm going to put some more in, but I can't see any leaks or anything. All the hoses are still attached. Yep, everything seems to be fine, no leaks or anything. I did hear a noise start. This top poly started making like a weary hissy noise, so that's another job that might need doing at some point. Underneath there's no leaks or anything, there's no puddles, idling okay. There's actually no codes. as well. Oh, the radio's like having a bit of a fit, but other than that there's no codes at all. I think that's just mainly because we've had the battery out again for so long and it's reset itself, but it runs and it's sat and it's idling and it's started up first time with this fresh starter motor in, and I cannot wait to drive this car. I cannot wait. I've literally drove this car twice since March, and both times have been to the hospital and back. 10-minute drives in traffic, that's it. No enjoyment at all out of driving. That's why I've been doing sim racing so much when we were in lockdown. I've just finished my first week at work, back at work, driving the diesel to and fro obviously, but I feel like I've got my feet back on the ground. I feel a lot more mentally happy, a lot more physically healthy, and this is just the cherry on the cake. I cannot wait to drive this now, and I cannot wait to show you what very, very, very special thing has come for this car. It's a bucket list thing. Maybe not for some other people, but for me it's something I've always wanted. You've heard me mention it plenty of times in plenty of videos, especially when we're at car shows with other cars around. But until then, I think I'm just gonna have to end this video now. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video, if you do enjoy this car, if you want to see stuff done with the diesel Civic as well. Click that little bell button as well so it reminds you when a fresh video does come on. And until next time guys, like you always say, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.